video I am going to make some gorgeous cat coasters that were kindly gifted to me by NewCraftDay.com. Come and see what I do. Hi everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. My name's Fiona, and in this craft and chat video I am going to make some gorgeous cat coasters which were kindly gifted to me by NewCraftDay. I've worked in collaboration with NewCraftDay quite a few times now and I love their products, and on Saturday I unboxed 3 new items that they had sent to me. One of them was the Paint by Numbers cat coasters, which we're going to do together today. So there are 9 in total and I'm going to do it a little bit different. 3 of them I'm going to do with the supplies that they send with them. 3 of them I'm going to use acrylic paint pens, and the final 3 I am going to use alcohol markers, just to see what the difference is between them all and to see if there's any preference. What I'll do is I'll do one of each on camera, then I'll complete them all off camera, then we can have a look at them and decide together which our favourite is. Let's get started. So before we begin, I'm just going to give you a reminder of what you get in the package in case you didn't see the unboxing video, but I will link that video for you anyway. So when we open it up, when we take the package out, look, you get a picture of all the completed cats. Basically a diagram showing you the breakdown of all the different colours in each cat. You get this, which I have discovered is a stand for the coasters. I'm still not sure how it works, but when I looked on the website, it's a stand. You get paint brushes, you get 3 different size paint brushes, and that's the little brackets and screws for the stand. You get all your different paints which are numbered, and most importantly, oh yeah, you get a little mini file as well. Not sure what that's for, but most importantly you get your 9 different coasters. Yay! So each of the coasters has got the sections with the numbers on it, so we know what colour to paint. I'm quite sure everybody knows painting by numbers, but if not, what you do is you have a look and see, right, okay, that's number 8, so you get the number 8 paint out and you fill that in. And then you get number 10 and do it that way. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to painting by numbers, but I have always done it using the lighter paint first. And that way, if you do go out the lines slightly, it's easier to cover with the darker paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you off just now. I'm going to pause you just now, and I'm going to get all of these colours sorted into numerical order, and I think that will be easier for us. Right, so I have now got all of the numbers in numerical order. What I will say is there's not a little line to distinguish the 6 and the 9, and they are very different colours. But if you look at the shape of the pots, you can see where the opening is. So the opening goes to the bottom and the little hinge goes to the back. So that's how I knew that that was 9 and that was 6. But it's important just to point that out, I think, so that you know which is which and you don't accidentally end up confusing the two. And it goes up to 17, but then I've got 2 number 34s. So that's quite interesting. Oh, and I have also got a little ramekin of water and some kitchen towel here as well for cleaning the brushes. Let's get started. So I'm going to take the top one, and this one I am going to do with the resources that come with. I need to make sure that I'm getting you in shot all the time because I'm terrible for that. Right, so looking at these, I would say the lightest number is probably the number 4. So I'll have a look to see if there's any number 4s on this. Nope, I can't see any number 4s. Are there any number 3s? Is it childish that I'm looking forward to saying, is there any number 2s? Nope, no number 3s. There is a number 8 though, so I would say this is probably the lightest one that we're going to be doing on this. So, number 8 is it's a relatively big area, so which paintbrush will I use? So it's not a big enough area to use this one, so I'll put that to the side. And those two look quite similar. I think I'll go with this one. Give it a little dab of water. I'm going to open my number 8. In fact, I think I'll take it out. That might be easier. Open the paint. Now I'm not sure if it'll need a stir. Oh, it's very full. It's very full. No, it doesn't look like it's needing a stir. I'll probably just use the bit out the lid, to be honest. There we go. Right. Number 8. And I always like to start, because I'm right-handed, I'll start at the left and work to the right. And that way my hand isn't getting covered in paint. Now, I do have to say I am not the best painter in the world. Especially not at the angle that I'm sitting just now, so that you can see what I'm doing. But we're going to give it a go because, whoops, I'm terrible. The whole point of this is that it should be easy enough for anybody to do. Now, they did say that if the numbers are shining through the paint, you can just go over them with white paint to start, but to be honest, I think I'll just keep going over that bit until it's covered. Now, the angle that I'm at, I can't see whether that's completely covered or not. It's a wee bit scrappy, Fiona, but it'll do, it'll do. Right, and we've got a little tiny bit in there as well. That'll be the little reflection in its eye. So when the lighter colour dries, I might need to go over it again if the number's shining through. But that's fine, not an issue. Number 8. And I do think there's something relaxing about this. I used to love painting by numbers when I was young. But back then it was all just like, it wasn't paper it was on, it was like a sort of canvas. But it was never worth putting on the wall or anything. Whereas the thing with the coasters is, you've got something practical at the end of it, which I think is great. Anytime I go quiet, I might just be speeding the video up a little bit because I don't want you to be bored watching me paint every single little bit. Right, I think that's all of the number 8s. So, what you can also do if you don't want to go by how light the colours are, is you can just start at the left and work your way along, but the left there is number 5 and that is very dark. What else? Maybe we should do the little bits in the middle, in there first. Number 6 is dark, number 5 is dark, number 16, yeah, we'll do number 16 next, I think. I've just cleaned my brush with a little bit of water. Remember to put the lid back on your paint so that A, it doesn't spill, and B, it doesn't dry out. What did I say? Number 16. Here we go, number 16. That's a lovely colour actually. Right, so number 16 is in the eyes again. So what I tend to do now, rather than paint by numbers, is diamond painting, which, if you don't know, is very similar to painting by numbers, but instead of using paint, you put little sort of drills on the numbers instead, and it gives you a gorgeous shiny glittery picture at the end. When I first started doing that a good 5 years ago maybe, it wasn't a very popular hobby at all that I could see, and then it was someone on YouTube that I saw doing it and I thought, oh, I'm wanting to try that. And then over the years it became a lot more popular, and you get so many different things now. Again, it's not just pictures, you get very practical things, like from NewCraftDay, they do a lot of diamond paintings. They do a lot of paint by numbers as well, but a lot of diamond paintings which rather than just being a picture, can be used as like decorations at Christmas or Halloween or Easter. And they can be used for practical things like storage. I have got a storage pouch which I got from NewCraftDay, which has been diamond painted, and it looks lovely. Right, that's number 16 done. Now, I know everybody has got the gist of it by now, but I just want to carry on with the first one of each, so that if I do come across any issues or I think of anything that's important to tell you, then I can. So I'm going to use the smaller paintbrush for the little small areas, and then I will use the bigger paintbrush when we get to the big area. What doesn't help is I've got very shaky hands. I've got neurological issues. If you don't know, I'm in a wheelchair, and my hands are very shaky because the nerves to my hands are damaged slightly as well. So if I do go out the lines a bit, I apologise. And I was going to say that'll be the reason why, but to be fair, even when I was younger and I didn't have any neurological issues, I was never very good at keeping in the lines. I need to remember that there is a little bit around between the lighter paint and this paint. There's a little bit round there which still has to be painted, so I don't want to go over that. I'll be getting into the bigger bit now. Just go around the edges with the little bit. Right, that's the small areas and the edges done with the small brush. So now I'm going to change over to my bigger brush for the bigger areas. This is where we really see how bad I am. Oopsie. The good thing is the paint is relatively thick, so if you do what I just did and knock the pot over, it's okay, it's not going to spill everywhere. I forgot just how relaxing painting by numbers is. It's lovely. And if I don't get right into the edges, it's fine, because I can get any wee bits that I miss with the other colours. And the other thing to remember is it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, it's something that you're making, it's handmade. There's no such thing as perfection in handmade. I want it to be my work, not perfect. There's a sense of satisfaction at the end of doing something like this, and you look at it and say, I did that. Right, so that is all the number 10s. I'm now going to go to the number 11, I think. It's another big area. And I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to start with the smaller brush and get into the smaller areas. This bit here's a wee tiny area. But they're very similar colours, so if they kind of merge into each other slightly, it's not that big a deal. There is actually a very small sort of gap between a lot of the colours, and I think that's maybe for any little errors or, you know, going over slightly. Right, that's all the smaller areas done. Bigger brush. There we go. Now I will go on to number 6, I think, because it's quite, in fact no, I'll do, we've got two different coloured cheeks, so we've got a 17 and a 13. So let's try a 17. Because it's nice small pots as well, it's not overly messy if you have kids that want to do it. I think this would be a really good activity for kids, not too young because there are very small areas, but for sort of older kids who are just feeling that little bit artistic and want to have something to show people their work, this would be a great way of doing it. It would even make a great gift as well for kids to make and then give to grandparents or whoever, godparents, for birthdays or Christmas, to be able to say, look, I made this especially for you. Especially for you. Really annoys me every time I say something specific, a certain song comes into my head. Right, that's number 17, let's get number 13. And I have to sing it, so I apologise because I'm not the best singer in the world. Clean my brush. This is very pink. Quite quirky that it's got two different coloured cheeks, I like that. What I will do as well, any of the colour, once it's dried, any of the colours that are still, any of the numbers that are still showing through the paint, I'll just go over with another wee coat of paint. I'm sure that won't be an issue. Right, I'm going to do number 6 and then number 5, and that'll be that. It's good because there's not too many colours in it, not too difficult. Oopsie, oopsie. See what I mean about my hands? Because I've not got great sensation in them, I'm good at dropping things. Right, number 6 for round about the eyes. The other good thing about this as well is it wasn't expensive. It was less than £10, it was around £9 something. Because I remember thinking to myself, that's only £1 a coaster, which isn't a lot of money, is it? When you look at all the resources you're getting with it, you know, the paint, the wooden coasters, the paint brushes, it's not a lot of money at all, which again makes it ideal for kids or for gifting to people. Wee nose. I am very much a doggy person, but I do like cats. We at the moment have got 4 dogs and 1 cat, and the bearded dragon. Don't forget the beardie. They didn't have any dog coasters, but they did have a lot of different images, a lot of different themes. So I will link their website down below, and I will link to this specific product as well, and you can go on and have a look to see all of the different themes that they've got. But I couldn't resist the wee pretty cats. You can see where I'm shaking, but that's okay. I wanted to do this on camera so that I can show you that it's okay not to be perfect. If you enjoy doing what you're doing, then do it. Simple as that. Life's too short to say, oh, I'm not very good at that, I'm not going to do it. Right, that's all the number 6s. And it's just number 5 that we've got left. Oh, I've just put my thumb right in the paint. Very good, Fiona, well done. There we go, it's a good job I've got water and kitchen towel to hand, isn't it? Come out, number 5, your time is up. So I'm going to start with the small areas, which is around the little, I'm going to move this over so I don't knock it, around the little bits of the ear. The paint seems to be drying nice and quickly as well, which is good, so I'm not getting covered in it as I'm going over areas that I've already painted. The other thing to remember when you're doing something like this is nobody knows what the original pattern looked like. So if you go completely the wrong way, if you completely mess up, that's okay, because nobody knows what it should look like anyway. Right, big pupils. I think I'm just going to stick with a smaller brush for the number 5, because even though it is relatively big areas, there's a lot of smaller areas around it that you don't want to accidentally hit. That's lovely. Oops. Again, I went a little bit out of the line there, but that's okay, nobody knows. They can't see the line. Oopsie. Right, so now all that's left is the outside. Do you know what? I think I could maybe get away with using the bigger brush for this bit. Let's give it a go and see what happens. I would also advise you to have something underneath your coasters when you're painting, just to protect your work surface. I've got these silicone mats that are there because I do resin, and that can get very messy. But so can paint, especially if there's kids doing it. So it doesn't hurt to put even just a bit of newspaper or something. I would imagine, I'm not sure what kind of paint these are, but I would imagine they'll be wipeable, washable. But I don't know for certain, so it's always best to be safe. Better safe than sorry. Whoops, I was getting a wee bit carried away there. Oh, and there. Behave, Fiona. The good thing is as well, cats are furry. So if the edges are a wee bit blurry, it's just its fur. It's fine. I'm going to move it slightly so that I can get to a different angle. And you can be quite sparing with the paint. You don't need to use a whole load at a time. Just a little bit is fine. Right. I do believe that's our little pretty cat. Done. Let's have a look. That's not too bad. I can't really see the difference between the two colours of grey. I think they're very close to each other. And I can start to see some of the numbers shining through, but that's fine. I'm going to put it to the side, and once it's properly dry, I'll just go over any of the little bits that need touched up or need the number covered up. But I think that is so cute. It's so cute, and that didn't take long at all. That was about 20 minutes maybe. Right, so that is using the paints and paintbrushes that came with it. Now, I am going to use some paint markers. Now, these are just acrylic paint markers. They were cheap from Amazon, but the reason I tend to use these is because, again, a shape. So it's easier for me to use a pen than it is to use a paintbrush. It's a lot less messy for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough colours or not. Let's go for one that hasn't got too many colours in it. I'll go for that one, I think. Right, so I'm keeping my paints at the side here so that I can get a good idea of what sort of colour I am looking for. Lightish colours. Have we got a number 3 this time? No. Have we got a number 4? Yeah, quite a lot of number 4, so let's go for that first. And that to me looks pretty white. So I am going to take my white acrylic marker, move these out of the way. So basically all you need to do is give it a shake. I've used these before. You do sometimes need to press the nib down a little bit just to get the paint to start flowing through. But here we go. So number 4 is quite a large area. We might not see this very well because there we go, that's better. I do feel you definitely get more control with paint markers rather than a paintbrush. I should really have washed my hands in between, but to be honest, my wheelchair's kind of jammed in by my my ring light and camera stand, so I can't really do that. I'm definitely going to have to go over the numbers with the paint that came with it. So, I mean, this might not be the best way of doing it with these acrylic markers, but that's the whole point of this experiment. I always like to sort of think outside the box when I'm making things. I don't necessarily stick to the way that they're traditionally done, as you can tell. I was even going to go so far as to try colouring some of them with resin, but then I decided not to because resin's a very sort of niche product and not a lot of people use it, and certainly kids couldn't. So I thought I'll just stick with the paint that comes with it, the acrylic paint markers, and then once I've done this one I'm going to try the alcohol markers, which is just your general felt tip pen. Well, at least we call them felt tip pens here. What do you call them? I think the Americans do tend to call them alcohol markers. But comment down below, let me know, what do you call them? Felt tip pen, alcohol marker, colourer. Right. Any other number 4s? I don't think so. I'm definitely going to have to go over that again because it is seeping into the wood quite a bit. But that's fine. That's why we want to know which one's best. Right, what else is quite light? Number 8 looks like a very light grey, I think. So I'll go with this one, I think, which is actually quite silvery, but that'll be nice. This one's a lot juicier. I don't know the way to say it, but it's not as dry. You know, the paint flows a lot better from it than it does on the white. Again, if you are doing this with kids, you can pick what ones the kids get. You know, you can do them together, and this one's a relatively simple one in that there's not too many colours, there's not too many small areas. So this one would be ideal for an artistic child to do. Things like this are just great activities when you're trying to keep them amused over holidays and things. So yeah, something like this is good. And because they're small projects, you can just do one at a time. You know, if the kids haven't got a great attention span, or if you've not got a great attention span, you don't need to sit down and do all 9 of them at once. You can just do one and then put it away. And then when you feel like doing it again, or you've got a spare half hour, just get another one out. Right, is that all of the number 8s? Oh no, we've got some in the eye. There we go. What have we got next? 12 and 13. So 12 and 13 are both pink. One is a lighter pink. Have I got two different pinks in the acrylic marker? Not particularly, I've just used these I think. So 12 is the lightest one, that's its ears, so I mean that'll be fine. This will be a good colour for its ears. Right, that's number 12, and I'll use this pink for number 13. It's wee cheeks. This is very pink. Right, now all that's left is number 5. Oh, there's little 6 round the ears, but 5 and 6 are very close to each other and I've not got such close markers, so I'm just going to use the black for both of them. So I'll start round the ears. The nib on my black isn't the best because I use that a lot, and I do use it on wooden products, so it does tend to ruin the nib slightly. There we go. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, these are cheap acrylic paint markers anyway. You do get a lot more expensive ones, but for what I'm using them for, it's fine. Now it's just the outline again. There we go. Okay, so that's one with the acrylic markers. Again, once it's properly dry, I'll go over the numbers so that they're not showing through. It's very cute. Right, this time I am going to use alcohol markers or felt tip pens. So I use a brand called Ohuhu, and there's loads of different colours in this, but any felt tip pens would do. My one worry here is that the alcohol ink might bleed, like it might be absorbed into the wood and bleed into the other colours, but we won't know until we try. So let's have a look and see. Have we got any, and if we've got any really light ones, I would need to use paint anyway probably. Right, so we've got a very light grey, we've got number 8 in the eyes, so let's try and find a really light grey. But like I said earlier on, if you've not got the right colour, just go with the closest you've got. It should be fine. I'm going to go with this colour. And the good thing about these markers as well is that's not going to be dark enough, I don't think. These markers have got double tipped nibs, so you've got a fine one on one side and a thick one on the other, which is good. Right, that's going to be too light. Let's try a different one. Go with this one. It might just be that alcohol markers, felt tip pens are not the best way to go, but we won't know until we try. There we go. Right, I'll do this one now. I'll do a nice pink now for number 13. I'll go with this one. That's a nice pink. That's a good pink for the ears. Getting a wee bit bleed through the wood, but not too much actually. It's not bad. I'm going to do number 17 now, which is a sort of peachy colour. Yeah, I'll try that one. Some quite small areas. The good thing about felt tip pens, alcohol markers, is you've got more control. It's easier with the smaller areas, to me anyway, maybe not to other people. But to me, with my silly hands, it's definitely easier to do the smaller areas. Right, so 16 is quite light. It's almost white actually. What have I got? What have I got? I think I might try this and see how that goes. It's not really showing up at all. Let's try this one, which is a whitish grey. Right, let's try this one. This is where the alcohol markers could fall down, is the white. Let me see if I can get another, I might just go for another light grey, because why not? Let's try this one. That's a bit better. Is that the same one that I used? That might be the same one that I used for the eye, but never mind. We'll go with it. Try the bigger nib. One thing I will say about using the alcohol marker, if you go with the grain rather than against it, it seems to be taken better. Right, number 15 is a yellow orange, so I'm going to go for this colour. Right, so it's 5 and 6 left, and I think from looking at that, 5 is a very, very dark grey, and the 6 is black. So I'm going to do the 5 in this. And when we look over here, you can see that the 5 goes round the very edge, but then it goes back into 6. And the 5 goes into 6 there as well, so that'll be important to remember. And number 6, I've got a black here, so that's what I'm going to use. Number 6 is in the ears as well. I've just realised I was doing that out of shot, sorry. You get the idea of what I'm doing anyway. What I was saying is my black is starting to give up on me. I might try using the thicker nib for some of this bit. See if that helps. There we go, so that's the alcohol marker one done. So let's have a quick look at them just now. So we've got the alcohol marker one. This is the acrylic paint pen one. And this is the one that came, the paints that came with the set. I will say about the alcohol marker, obviously, except the very, very dark ones, the number's always going to shine through. I might try going over them with some white paint to see if that helps. But that's the alcohol marker one. So far I'm finding that the easiest to work with, but like I find alcohol markers easier than paint, but it's definitely not got as nice a finish as the other two have. And again, the acrylic paint pen has done not too bad actually, but so far for me, the winner is the paints that come with it. So I am going to do the other ones off camera and I will come back to you. I'll show you them all. So I'm going to do another 2 with the paints that came with it, another 2 with the alcohol markers, another 2 with the acrylic markers, and then I'll show you them all once they're done. And I am thinking that number 34 is a sealer, because look at the black paint all over me, because there doesn't seem to be a number 34 in any of the pictures, and I would imagine you would need to seal these with something if you're going to be using them as coasters. So I think that's what that is. But I'll come back to you when they're all done and then I'll talk about this. Welcome back everyone. It's now the next day. I spent a good few hours yesterday finishing off all of the coasters and I thought we would have a quick look at them just now. Then I'm going to show you how to seal them and then we will look at the finished product. So I have got them in the categories. Let's have a look at these ones first. These are the ones which were completed with the supplies that came with the coasters. So these are the actual paints that came with the coasters. I think they worked out really well. I love that one. I think this is my favourite one out of all of them. Let's have another closer look. So you can tell my painting's not very good. Yeah, my painting's not the best, but they still look brilliant. I really do think they still look brilliant. I can't see the difference in colour. That's two different greys and that's two different browns. But to be fair, I can't tell the difference. Maybe there is and I'm just not seeing it. These are the ones I completed with the alcohol marker. Now this is the ones that I did on video, and as you can see, all of the numbers are showing through. So what I did before I coloured these ones with the alcohol markers, I actually went over all the numbers with white paint first, and as you can see, it looks a lot better, but it's still not a brilliant finish. What I'm going to do with this one is, so that it's still usable, I'm going to go with white paint over all the numbers and then touch it up where it's needed. And this was the acrylic paint markers. So I think he looks really cute. It looks so grumpy but cute. And I like that one and that one. So I really like them as well. I would think my preference is probably the acrylic paint markers because I find it easier to control them. However, I don't get the right depth of colour because there were some of them that should have been lighter and darker and I just didn't have that option in my paint pens. Whereas these ones, I have used the right colours. But like I said, I can't really see the difference. I suppose this bit here does look a bit lighter than that bit. I can't really see the difference, to be honest. So yeah, I think my favourite is the acrylic paint markers, then it's the paints that came with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's only because my hands aren't great and I'm not a good painter that I prefer the other ones. And my least favourite are definitely the alcohol markers, but I'm pleased that I tried them all. And I had to get my husband to look at it, but we think we've figured out the coaster stand. It doesn't use any of the brackets or screws that came with the paint brushes, which are these, so I still don't know what they're for. And I haven't used the file for anything. I don't know if I should have. I don't know what that's for really. If anybody knows, please comment down below. But I believe this is how the stand goes because... oh, can't do it with one hand. I think they would all then sit in like that. Either that or they are supposed to lie down. So I'm not sure whether they're supposed to lie down like that or stand up like that. I suppose it could be any way you want. So that is that mystery solved. And I'm pretty sure the mystery of the number 34 is that this is what we're to use to seal them. So I'm going to seal one on camera just so that you can see how it's done. That's why I left it until today to come back so that all the paint had properly dried. And then what I'll do is I'll do the rest off camera, and at the very end I will put some footage up of the completed coasters. So I am now going to seal this. Wait till I get my paintbrush, and I think what I'll do, I'm going to use the big paintbrush. Oh, that looks all sparkly. I'm going to use the big paintbrush because with sealing something like this, you just go over the whole lot. It doesn't matter about the lines and things like that. Okay, so I'm simply going to open one of these. I'm not sure what kind of sealer it is, but I would imagine you could use any sealer like Mod Podge or I like the sparkly diamond painting one, but I would imagine you could use any. And it's just a case of painting it all over the area, and the whole point of it is so that it protects the paint and the coaster. I'm not sure how well it will take hot drinks, but I would imagine it should be okay. If they're saying that it's coasters, then I would imagine it'll be fine. And it's as simple as that. Not much to it at all. And they've gave us 2 pots, which should be plenty because I've not used much at all for this one. And it's just a case of making sure that you've definitely got it all. Let's have a little looky. Yep, you can see where it is. It's all shiny where it is. And that's that. I'm not sure how long it will take to dry. And I would make sure, got a wee bit too much up here. I would make sure that your paint is properly dry before you put the sealer on it, because you don't want to risk spreading the paint. So that is all there is to it. I'll do the others off camera. So that is the cat coasters from NewCraftDay, which I was kindly gifted. Thank you, NewCraftDay. And I think they look gorgeous. Once they're all properly sealed and sitting in the coaster stand, I think they look gorgeous. What do you think? My honest review of them is, I think they're brilliant. I think they're, for the price, £9 for 9 of them is amazing. I think they're ideal for any level. They're good for older kids to do. It looks like it's entirely up to you how you want to colour them. Like I said, my least favourite was the alcohol marker or felt tip pens. My next favourite was the paints that came with it, but that's only because I'm not very good at painting and my hands are shaky. And my favourite was using acrylic paint markers, but you could do it any way you want. You could probably even use gel pens, whatever you've got on hand, but they give you all the paints anyway, so if you're confident using the paints, go for it. And like I say, even to give as a gift to somebody, or to have sitting in your living room, if somebody comes round for a cuppa, you give them one of the coasters. It's a great talking point, isn't it? And you get the kudos saying, I made them. So yeah, I think great value. The only slight criticisms that I would have is, first of all, we could be doing more instructions. There was no written instructions in the pack. I went online and saw that these 2 bits of plastic were a stand, but there was no instructions on how to put them together. And also there was nothing to say that the number 34s were a sealer and that you should put them on after you've painted it. They're maybe just assuming that people know that, but I didn't know. I just worked it out as basically the powers of deduction. You know, it's not used for anything else. It looks like a sealer, so that must be what it is. So I would say that's a slight criticism. And my only other criticism is that some of the colours are so close to each other. I think it could be simplified and just have the one colour rather than 2 very similar, but that's just me. Other people who are better painters might prefer that. They might prefer having more intricate bits to paint, but in general it wouldn't put me off doing them again. Like I said, there's a whole load of different patterns and pictures in the coaster range that you can go on and have a look at. I will leave the link in the comments below. I'll leave the general link to their website as well, and a 10% off discount code, which is our10. If you put that in at the end of your order, you will get 10% off. So thank you so much. What I'm going to do, I'm going to seal them, and after I've finished talking to you, I'm going to put up some footage of the completed coasters, and you can let me know in the comments below which ones are your favourite. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope it's been useful. If so, please let me know and hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get my wee channel growing. I would love that. And I will see you in our next one. Thanks again to NewCraftDay. Bye everyone. Bye.